Voltage, where we review and analyze the news and talk about issues affecting us as citizens of Nigeria. Things ranging from education, health, politics, security, and other topical stories making rounds in the country. We are live on YouTube this morning. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel on High Voltage News. You can like, comment, and share the video for others to be part of it. And yes, you can join us live on the studio by calling our phone lines on 0706 048 5853 or 0915 570 8347. Okay, so please remember that when you call, ensure that your comments, they are very clean and civil. So we do not want to do the wrong things while we are trying to um, correct some certain things. All right, so this morning we are going straight into the newspaper headlines. Let's take a look at the top stories in today's papers. On the Punch newspaper, SSANU, NASU issues strike warning over unpaid allowances. So the Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities and Non-Academic Staff Union are threatening to shut down activities in universities if the government does not pay their outstanding allowances. So these allowances are welfare packages, wage adjustments, and arrears that the government has hold them for years. So the university workers, the outside, the teaching staff, like administrative staff, the bursars, the security officers, cleaners, and others are part of this union. So the union argued that the government only pays attention when the academic staff goes on strike, and not when they themselves, they don't pay attention to them. So they are often ignored from what they are saying. So now they are warning that if their money is not paid, universities across the country may once again face a total shutdown. All right. So FS inflows reserves boosts naira to 1,497 to $1. The FS inflows reserves boosts naira to 1,497 to $1. Okay. So still on it, Tinubu, Fubara end foreign trips. IBA set for handover. Tinubu, Fubara, and foreign trips. IBA set for handover. So President Bola Tinubu has returned from a foreign trip where he attended meetings with the international leaders and investors. And similarly, the Rivers State Governor, Fubara, has also come back from his own trip abroad. Meanwhile, the Vice Admiral Ibas, who has been serving, is preparing to hand over his office to the governor. So those events, they reflect the ongoing political activities and administrative transitions in government. All right, next, presidency fires back as Atiku warns of revolution. Presidency fires back as Atiku warns of revolution. The former vice president, Atiku Abubakar, has warned that if government does not address hunger, corruption, and insecurity, Nigeria could face a revolution led by angry and frustrated citizens. So he said that the rising cost of living, corruption among the leaders, and neglect of the poor are fearing the public anger. So the presidency responded to Atiku and accusing Atiku of trying to incite unrest and destabilize the country for its own political ambition. So this dismisses comments as irresponsible. So while Atiku may have his own political motives, he is speaking about real problems. He's speaking about the things happening in the country. So the government should not just dismiss these warnings. They should act quickly to reduce the hunger, the corruption, and the insecurity before things explode in the country. All right, next we have farmers fought federal government's order as agro imports its 2.2 trillion naira. Farmers fought federal government order as agro imports its 2.2 trillion naira. Okay, Dangote vows refinery won't fall to oil mafia. Aliko Dangote has spoken strongly about his refinery project. So he says that some powerful people whom he calls the oil mafia, do not want the refinery to succeed, but because they make huge profits from importing the fuel. So, but Dangote has vowed that his refinery will not fail, and it will supply Nigerians with locally refined petroleum products. And we see what he has been doing recently. As at yesterday, he started um, supplying fuels with 1,000 CNG buses. He started supplying fuels to Nigerians, distributing fuels to the fuel stations, and at a reduced price. So we see that the Dangote refinery is actually helping the citizens out there. Although some people do not want the progress, it's helping the Nigerians, the other citizens that want it. All right, next we see the South is behind as Southwest maintains voter pre-registration lead. So this is a report from INEC. South is behind as Southwest maintains voter pre-registration lead. Okay. Federal government suspends controversial 4% import duty levy. The federal government has suspended the 4% import duty levy, and traders and importers had complained that the levy was unfair and was making goods too expensive. So they said it was worsening inflation because everything imported carried extra costs. So government's decision to suspend it is aimed at reducing the burden on businesses and consumers. And from what we heard from the Minister of Finance, Wale Edun, it's just suspended. It has not been cancelled, which means they will review it. They will still have a talk about the situation. All right, let's see if there's more on the Punch newspaper. Okay, that will be all. So moving on the Guardian newspaper, we see money illusion fuels fiscal crisis as state debt deficit solved. Money illusion fuels fiscal crisis as state debt deficits solves. So the reports that although states in Nigeria are getting more money from federal allocation, they are actually getting poorer. So the money illusion in reality is because inflation and poor management, the money has less value because of this. But states keep borrowing and spending more. They borrow and spend, and the data shows that the debts and deficits have been rising for years. It has been rising for years. Every year there's a lot of money being borrowed by the state government, and it keeps increasing the whole debt situation in these states. All right, so next, 2027, Nigeria won't accept technical glitch excuses. PDP wants INEC. So Nigerians, the PDP has warned INEC that Nigerians will not accept excuses like technical issues, that they had any technical problem during election. So we believe that all these excuses can be used to rig the elections. It can be used to manipulate results. So the warning comes early to push INEC to improve technology and avoid a repeat of controversies from what happened in the 2023 election. So when the failure of electronic transmission of results, it can cause public anger. So they should prepare now. They still have some time to prepare for the 2027 elections to avoid telling us stories that we do not want to hear. Okay, next we see federal government suspends again customs FOB levy on imports. The federal government suspends the controversial free on board levy. Okay, so moving on. How a refinery saved Nigeria's oil sector by Dangote. And next on it, we see that federal government orders relocation of roaming cattle to grazing reserves. Federal government orders relocation of roaming cattle to grazing reserves. So the federal government has ordered the herders must move their cattle into grazing reserves instead of roaming across the roads and farmlands. So the aim is to reduce the farmer-herder clashes or the fights that has been going on between the farmers and the herders, the cattle rearers and all that. So because they've gone along with grazing, open grazing is becoming something normal in Nigeria. Everywhere you look around, you see cows along the road, moving along the road, and um, being forced on people's farmlands. So the federal government has ordered that they relocate their cattle to grazing reserves and not on people's farms. Okay, so $4.5 billion fraud trial. Court grants Emefiele's request for forensic examination. Okay, so we have International Day. Nigeria's democracy faces grave threats from hunger, corruption. Atiku, CSOs won. So yesterday we had the International Democracy Day, and Atiku came out to, just from what we read on the Punch newspaper, he came out, he talked about the hunger, the corruption, and the bad governance and insecurity going on in the country. All right, so next we see NMA rejects salary cuts for Lagos doctors, faults federal government on funding. NMA rejects salary cut for Lagos doctors, faults federal government on funding. The Nigerian Medical Association has kicked against plans to cut doctors' salaries in Lagos. So they argue that the problem in the health sector is not that doctors earn too much, but that government is underfunding the hospitals. And so doctors are already leaving Nigeria for better pay abroad. So reducing their salaries will worsen the brain drain. It will worsen it. Imagine people that are not earning enough and you are trying to cut their salary. It doesn't make sense to me by cutting. These are people who come out threatening strike for better pay. And yet you're hearing stories of the Lagos, the federal government, not trying to cut their salary and having low funding on hospitals. When you go to different hospitals, you see what's going on there. There's a rehabilitation is very poor. Nothing much is happening there. You look at some hospitals, they do not have beds. Patients come and they lie on the floor for treatment. And this is what the federal government needs to look into and ensure that people can go to the hospital and feel safe and feel peaceful and receive proper treatment. So next on it, we have Adeleke devastated, laments as flood ravages Osun community. Governor Adeleke of Osun State has expressed sadness after floods destroyed the homes, the farms and properties in parts of the state. So although he visited the victims and promised support and called for federal help. So the flooding we see has become a major problem across Nigeria due to poor drainage system. Last yesterday, the federal government warned that 11 states we experience heavy flooding in the period of September 14 to 18. So, and advise those people to seek other alternatives to find where to stay in those periods. All right, so next we see peace deal collapses as bandits abduct 40 in Zamfara state. Peace deal collapses as bandits abduct 40 in Zamfara state. So in Zamfara, a peace deal, we've been hearing of all these peace talks with bandits. So a peace deal between the government and the armed bandits has collapsed. So despite talks and agreements, the bandits attacked a community and kidnapped over 40 persons. So it shows that negotiations with bandits have failed and insecurity continues to worsen. So should the government resort to this peace talking of a thing, or do the needful, do what they are supposed to do to protect the citizens? Stable exchange rates, food prices drive down inflation to 20.12%. Okay, all right, so that's what we have. So we are moving straight to the Daily Trust newspaper. Mafias out to kill my refinery, Dangote. Again, we see that Dangote says that the mafias are out to kill his refinery. All right, next, 3 patients die at AKTH. That's Aminu Kano Teaching Hospital in Kano. So three patients reportedly died after the electricity distribution company disconnected power because of unpaid bills. So because of this, 3 lives were lost. So hospitals rely heavily on power for equipment like the ventilators, the oxygen machines, and surgeries. So the disconnection left some patients very helpless, and unfortunately, lives have been lost. So this has sparked outrage, and with many arguing that hospitals should not be disconnected, no matter the debts, no matter how much they are owing, they should not be disconnected because lives are at stake. Lives are at stake. So this kind of thing should not be done. So because of the disconnection, 3 people died at the hospital. So this cutting off powers to hospitals is very dangerous. The electricity companies should work out payment plans instead of punishing the patients. So government also has to declare hospitals as no disconnection zones and swing into action, do something about it. So next we see presidency. Atiku trade words over hunger and poverty. Okay, next, bandits abduct over 55 in Zamfara and miss pit deal in Castina. All right. So next we see that the FCT doctors strike, services grounded in hospitals. FCT doctors strike, services grounded in hospitals. So the doctors working in the Federal Capital Territory have gone on strike, and this has crippled medical services in Abuja hospitals. So the patients are stranded, surgeries are postponed, and emergencies have been turned away because of this. So they are striking because of poor working conditions. We talk about this all the time. Whenever they go on strike, it's related to poor working conditions, poor welfare, and all that, poor funding in the hospitals that the government needs to look into. So next, Tinubu cuts short vacation, return to Nigeria today. Tinubu cuts short vacation and returns to Nigeria today. Okay, so we are moving to our last newspaper for this morning, and we have the Nation newspaper. Inflation slides unstable economic growth, low food prices. Inflation slides unstable economic growth, low food prices. And we see again presidency. APC slam Atiku over hunger, hardship alarm. And we see JTB OK's NIN, RC as tax IDs. So it explains that the Joint Tax Board has approved that the national identification number and the registration certificate can be used as tax identification for individuals and companies. So starting from January, companies can use their registration certificates and individuals can use their NIN instead of getting a separate tax identification number. So it's meant to simplify tax administration and make it easy for more people and businesses to be captured in the tax system. All right, so we see judge returns motion by Kanu to CJ for reassignment. So the judge handling a motion filed by Nnamdi Kanu has sent the case back to the chief judge for reassignment to another court. So this means that the court case will no longer be heard by the current judge and will be moved to someone else. So this kind of reassignment can slow down high-profile cases, and people following the case will have to wait longer for a decision. All right, next, Dangote Refinery creates 24,000 new jobs with 1,000 trucks rollouts. Dangote Refinery creates 24,000 new jobs with 1,000 trucks rollouts. So the Dangote Refinery has started operations that have created 24,000 jobs for the youths, for citizens of Nigeria. So it also says that 1,000 trucks has been rolled out for transportation connected to the refinery's operations. So this project is expected to boost Nigeria's economy and reduce the fuel imports and create employment. It is a positive development because a big refinery like this it provides job and reduces Nigerians' dependency on imported fuel if it runs successfully. Okay. And still on the Nation newspaper, we see again that Tinubu cuts short vacation expected back today. And lastly, let's see why weak Qatar Bridge must be demolished by federal government. Federal government says that weak Qatar Bridge must be demolished. So any bridge that is old and weak has to be demolished for safety reasons. For safety reasons. So the government may plan to replace it with a stronger structure to prevent accidents. All right, so that's what we have this morning on the newspaper review. And if you remember, if you have any opinion, any comments on all that have been read this morning, you can call into the studio or you can drop your comments on our YouTube channel on High Voltage News. Yes, callers, the phone lines are open on 0706 048 5853 or 0915 570-8347. Call and let us know what you think about the headlines that has been read this morning. Hello, good morning. You are welcome. Please go ahead. Hmm. Mm. 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 Oh, sorry, we lost that call. Remember, you can also be part of the show by calling 0706 048 5853 or 0915 570. Ask, is Nigeria a joke? Like, are we playing in the country? Because why do we still hear the leaders gather and make negotiations with bandits, promising them employment if they repent? How does that sound to you listening right now? Imagine with the unemployment rates going on in the country, with people, graduates coming out of school and not finding a suitable job, not finding a job, hearing that the candidates or job opportunities, if they repent from their terrorism and yet bandits are promised employment. It doesn't really make sense. It's not fair. It is insulting, very insulting to law-abiding citizens. Is insulting to victims and insulting to the very idea of justice. Because we look at this, a wanted bandit kingpin. That's people are the defense headquarters are already declared as a target to be arrested. Shows up boldly at peace talks in Katsina State. He sat down comfortably with leaders and shaking hands, smiling for cameras. And I asked, where was the police? Where were they? Where were the security personnel? The army, where even the DSS, where were they? So you cannot tell me that they don't know these people. They don't see the face of this person has been circulating on social media. Since yesterday, it has been circulating. The name, they know the name, they know the face. So what's stopping the security personnel from arresting these bandits? We keep hearing of peace talks in different, in the northern states. People that kills other people that destroys life. And then a leader sits with them. The communities come together for a peace talks. You are in a peace talk meeting and you are carrying your gun. You are still with your AK-47. What does that mean? Does that make sense to the ordinary Nigerian out there? So if, because the thing is, if they were ordinary citizens or owing tax or caught protesting on the streets, by now they would have been locked up. They would have been locked up, they would have been beaten, paraded. But for bandits, it's negotiation or promises of jobs or promises of sending them to school when they repent. So this issue has been happening for long in Nigeria. We read the headlines and we saw in Zamfara State that the peace talk collapsed. Because after peace talk, oh, what do you expect? These people are not, they don't have any heart. So they just come and sit with you, you talk, you negotiate, and later they do what they want. The time when they sit with you, is that not the perfect time to call in the security personnel to arrest them? People that are terrorizing the communities, people that are killing people, terrorizing the society, causing people unrest in their various homes, in their various societies, communities, and you are sitting with them to talk about what? It still doesn't make sense to me at all. So social media is on fire. People are talking about it. Because for you, how do you personally feel when you see leaders, when you see that leaders are negotiating with people who once killed or kidnapped innocent Nigerians, people who should be arrested, who should be sentenced to life imprisonment, and you see the government sitting with them and just doing peace talk? What does it mean? Hello, good morning. Good morning, please, your name and your location. Okay, we lost that call. Please do well and call back on 0706 048 5853 or 0915 570 8347. Because the whole thing is, when we even consider the victims, when we consider the families whose loved ones were once kidnapped, were once killed, have they been compensated? The women that were raped, has anyone come to their rescue? Has the government done anything for these people? The communities that were burnt down, have they been rebuilt? What about the farmers who abandoned their farms for these bandits? Has anyone given them tools to return to their farms? The answer is no. Instead, those who caused the pain are now the ones being celebrated as at negotiation tables. It doesn't make sense. If I were a victim and I see my attacker being rewarded with a government handshake, I don't know. I don't know what I would do at that moment. But it's so sad to see things like this making headlines. Hello, good morning. Please, your name and your location. You're welcome. Please go ahead. Mm. I saw the pictures. I saw the, yes. Yes. And you talk about peace talk. They are coming with guns. Mm. 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 and they roam around freely, doing what they want. Okay, so the thing is, please do to come back, call back. The government, that's the thing. The government will come out tomorrow and tell us that they are fighting insecurity. Like, fighting how? How are they fighting this insecurity? Is it with press conferences? Is it with the photos that we see on social media? Is it with the empty promises? So the ordinary Nigerian does not feel secure at all. We see in Zamfara state, in Katsina, in all these northern states, we see all the things going on, all the wrong things happening. You hear of bandits killing soldiers and nothing happens. They don't declare state of emergency. Try it in the south. Try it around this place where there's a clash between a community and a soldier. You see the soldiers surround the old villages. But it doesn't happen there, and we wonder why. Why do they do things and go scot-free? Why do those in the northerners, why are they free to carry gun and move around and nothing is being done to them? You even hear of stories of Gumi telling the security personnel not to offend the bandits after the peace talk. Can you imagine? I mean, is it making sense? These things are making headlines. Other countries are reading it. It's looking like we are playing in the country. Like the leaders, they do not know what they are supposed to do. The security personnel do not know what they are supposed to do. When they are supposed to fight, they do not fight. They rather decide to oppress people and leave the things they are supposed to be doing, the things that matter most. We see so many arrests going on in the country. People being arrested. What about the bandits there? What about the terrorists? What about the kidnappers? Insecurity keeps rising every day. So people are sleeping, they're not sleeping in peace, they're sleeping with one eye open, just because of what they fear might happen to them. This is not peace. This is surrender. It's a weakness dressed up as a strategy from the government. They are surrendering to the bandits. You comfortably sit and you are negotiating. You are talking with armed men, with terrorists. Although they came out to say that it's not negotiation, that it's just peace talk. Okay, it's not. What is peace talk then? So this issue, why do you think that government comes down hard on peaceful protesters but bent for armed criminals? It's really sad. Just a few weeks ago, we saw a community in Zamfara state celebrating, snapping selfie, taking selfie with the bandits, with terrorists, celebrating them. Like, these are young people now looking up to these terrorists. Because if they can carry gun and go scot-free, they don't feel like these ones are role models. So they grow up being part of it. So it's not like a culture in those parts of the country, in the northern states. It's not like a culture. So the whole world is watching what's happening in the country. So what do people say about a leader? A wanted criminal sitting with a leader in the country. What do people say about it? So this is the point we must open our eyes, because if we keep quiet, it will continue happening. And even while we keep talking, it keeps happening. But we won't stop talking. Once we hear a story about it, we will talk about it. Because it's not fair what the government is doing. See what we read on the headline. Even after the peace talk in Zamfara state, they say abducted over 55 persons yesterday. So this peace talk, does it really bring anything? Does it? Because I do not believe that peace talks brings real security. I just feel that they are just buying time because it doesn't bring security at all. Because what we want is justice. What we want is that those who are found guilty should be arrested. They should face the courts. And if they truly repent, let them do so behind the prison walls. Let them not repent and be sent back into the society to be causing more harm. Because if you want to provide jobs, it's okay to provide jobs, but to provide jobs for law-abiding youths.